Welcome to Illustrator, guys. Hello. And I'm just going to have the camera on for just a second just to say hi. And we got a lot of people here with us today. It's been a little while since I've taught online, so very, very cool to have some people to talk to. Every once in a while, I have no one to talk to. I'm talking to myself, and that's what it feels like, but it's awesome to have people here. And then, these guys, people that come get to ask questions for those of you guys who might be watching the recording. So that's a helpful piece as well. Okay, I'm going to stop the video now. All right. So the thing that we're here focusing on is Illustrator. So can you guys give me an idea? You can either type in the chat, or if you want to open your microphone, you can do that as well. Can you guys give me an idea of what you've taken before? Has it just been like DES109, which is Graphic Design 1? Did you take Photoshop already? Photoshop for Derek? Photoshop for Joseph? Photoshop. Oh, gotcha. Okay. 1 of 4, which is Photoshop. Okay, good. So you guys are all kind of coming from Photoshop. And one of the things I like to do is I like to kind of compare and contrast the programs. One of the things you're going to notice as we go through and look at Illustrator is there's going to be some things that look familiar to you because you saw them in Photoshop. And there's going to be some things that are going to be new because it's a specific program. Any idea what we use Illustrator for versus Photoshop? Logos, yes, you can definitely use it for logos. GIFs, sure. Photoshop is for making raster pictures, yes. So what we do in Photoshop is we play with pixels. In Illustrator, we actually get to work with other tools. I'm going to close that out so that I don't have to worry about seeing that. We don't really need you. Sorry. Close. There it goes. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't want to close. It just wants to keep coming back. Quit. There. Let's see if that works. Let's see if it'll let it quit. I'll open it back up later. That's the way the teachers talk to each other. So every once in a while you'll end up with these weird messages that show up in the middle of your stuff. So the people that are watching the recording can't see the comments, so I'm just going to kind of make sure that I'm interpreting as much as I can as we go through. Oh, good, and that one's popping up too. Let's see if I can close that out. Apparently not. Okay, well, let's see what we need to come up with there. All right, so let's talk our way through this. And I think the big thing that we want to do with this is kind of talk through our expectations, kind of what we're looking at. Since you've taken Photoshop, the way that the classes work are very similar to each other. So what you might have done in Photoshop as far as the organization of the classes and taking having the lectures kind of up front and doing a discussion, assignment, and assessment for each week, those things are going to stay the same from class to class. So there's not going to be any change or variation in that particular piece. The big thing that's changing is just that we're going to be focusing on a different program, and so we have different types of assignments in here. The first 2 weeks we have assessments that are like actual quizzes that you take, and just so you know, some of them are not the same. So you guys might have taken them and they're not the same. And then the last 2, the assessments, are actually assignments that you do some work on and submit. And then I will be doing the live sessions on Monday nights, and on Tuesday and Wednesday I'll do a multi-session. So whatever time zone it is for you guys right now, for me I'm in Denver, and it's 4 p.m., 4:08 p.m., and I will be doing it an hour later on Tuesday and Wednesday. The big thing that I do with the multi-sessions is it's really not necessarily that I'm teaching something per se, but that I am working with students on their assignments. If students are willing to allow me to record them while we walk through the assignment or assessment, I actually post those in the classroom. So if anybody is willing to do that, then we could always record them and post them for everybody else. I can sit there and tell you guys what my experience is of it, but there is definitely a difference between me saying, what I know versus another student showing you what their struggle is or what challenges that they're running into in doing the assignments. So I've been working with graphic design programs like Illustrator since the early 2000s. So it's definitely something slightly different back then. So definitely kind of working with different things over time. My little lamp just fell down. Alrighty. Give me just a second here. Okay. We're doing okay. All right, guys. Give me just a second. I have to fix something here. Sorry. My world is falling apart. I'll be right back. All right. We are back. Okay. So what I would like you guys to do is, just know that I'm here as your partner in this process of learning this program. And I create these times for you. There's some additional tools that I want to make sure that you guys are familiar with. The additional tools that you guys have is we have a tutor that's associated with our class. They call them a learning coach or a student coach, and they come to the Student Success Center. And you guys can go to them. They have pretty extensive hours overall. And then we have one that's associated with our class. And we also have Christina Fosbrink, she actually was the person that hired me. She was the associate dean at the time that I was hired. This was probably 8 or 9 years ago to teach online. And she is going to be also supporting you guys. So very cool that we have her. She's has taught Illustrator over and over and over and over and is an expert at Illustrator. This is my favorite program as well. So I love Illustrator as well. So you've got two people that love the program that are here to help and support you. So she's going to be here and can work with you guys also individually. So you guys have lots and lots of support to get you through this semester. I really, really want you guys to take advantage of that and utilize those tools because that's what we're here for. All right, so let's talk through our stuff. So first of all, this is the couch that I'm sitting on right now, and these are my cats. This one is Isabella. This one's Sunny, who's trying to come up and sit on my lap right this moment. And he's almost always on my lap. And then this one right here is Tia. And so these are my 3 cats. This is my normal spot of sitting, and I almost always have them somewhere near me. So do I have any other cat lovers out there? Any other cat people? Just checking. 3 cats for Sierra. That's what I have is 3. I tell people I can't have more than 3 or I'll be the crazy cat lady down the street. 10! Okay, Jaden gets to be the crazy cat lady down the street. 2 for Kristen, 1 for Jasmine. And it's not hard. It's not hard to sit there and have more. I mean, I would love to do that, but I just don't want to have that. That sounds like just a challenging lifestyle for me, Jaden. I don't know how you have 10. One cat, 18 chickens, 5 dogs, and a pig. You must have some land there, Joseph. Because you can't have like a little house like mine where with a little tiny backyard with 18 chickens, 5 dogs, and a pig. I honestly think this is a way that people bond. When we start talking about our pets, and you know that's something that we all can relate to. Excellent. Well, cool. I'm glad that you guys have have those, because I think that they actually keep us. They might keep me sane. That's all I got to say. When life goes a little crazy, I have my cats. And what kind of areas do you guys live in? So I live in Denver. I live just north of Denver. Where do you guys live? Give me some idea where you're located. Mississippi for Kristen. Northeastern Nevada. Missouri. Jaden's Northeastern Nevada. Derek's Missouri. Jasmine's Texas. Dallas. Sierra. Oh, she's giving us information about her cats. She's got a calico, a tuxedo, and a tabby. Mine's also Bengal. The orange one's a Bengal. Roxy, gotcha. Well, cool. I mean, when we look at this, sometimes this becomes a little bit of a challenge because we're trying to figure out time zones, right? And then we end up with all these extra challenges that are going on, just trying to make sure that we are talking about the same time zone. So just so you guys know, everything's done Mountain Standard Time for the school, and I happen to actually be located Mountain Standard Time, Washington State, so you're an hour behind me. Okay, excellent. All right, so we already kind of talked about that. You guys told me that you studied Illustrator, and are you guys up to date on your Illustrator? Do you have the 2020 version of Illustrator? Have you downloaded it yet? Yes, okay. So if you guys go in there, I have to uninstall 2019, and I had installed 2020, and it actually left my 2019 on there. I used to take them off. So I'm not sure what's going on, if that's just something that they're going to be doing going forward, but last night I went through and took all my 2019s off just so that I have one version on there. So I updated my Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign to the 2020 version. If you downloaded it last night, you're good. Yes, you should be the most recent one. Perfect. If you put your cursor over the top of it, mine actually shows the 2020. Let's see if this one will do it. It did it for me last night. But I actually have, so just so you guys know, I'm on a PC, and I know most of you guys are on a Mac. So you will notice some things looking different on mine, but you can also see I have mine on my desk, my start menu right here. And then I usually will talk you guys through both. What you'll find in a lot of your classes is that some people are on PCs and some people are on Macs, depending on which program that they're going through. The ones that are learning programming are on PCs, and the ones that are just doing straight up graphic design are on Macs. So I just happen to be a PC person, but I usually give you the hotkeys as well for both, if I can remember to mention them both. And it's pretty straightforward. There's just a few small areas. So if you have questions like where's that located on your computer, because mine looks a little different, let me know. And then Christina, I'm almost positive, works on a Mac. So the videos that you guys will find in the system are on Macs. So mine is probably one of the few PCs that you'll see. So you have a Mac. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. Are you on a PC for you're on a PC for your regular one? The thing that happens is the software they'll generally have you download to the computer they give you. PC. So Joseph, are you doing the programming combination program? Okay, yeah. That would be why you're different. Okay. So yeah, just so you know that that's kind of their expectations, that you're using it on the computer that they provided you. But I think one of the things that's kind of different between the Mac and the PC is that Macs are pretty good about integrating things, and Macs have GarageBand, which I think is super cool. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Okay. So the first thing to mention is the discussion post. So this discussion post thing kind of stays the same throughout the term. From one class to the next. Your first post should be created by 11:59 on Wednesday. This should be your answer to the question. You want to have at least 150 words. I'll cover that in just a second. And then you're looking at following up to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday of that same week. So by 11:59 of that same week on Saturday. So I do want at least 150 words. I do check. So I'm just going to tell you. And the way that you can look at something like that, and I'm working on some pretty complicated stuff here, but let's see if I can find something that has. So you guys can see down here, I can highlight something in Word, and it will tell me the number of words it is right here. So you guys can actually, if you type it onto a Word document, that's better. Then you can check to make sure that you have correct spelling and grammar. You'll notice things like this that are underlined twice. That means it's kind of something that you could fix, but it's not necessarily wrong. If it's underlined in red, it means it's a wrong spelling error. If it's underlined in green, I think it's grammar. If it's underlined in blue, I can't remember which one that one is, but check them if it's underlining your words, and then just copy and paste that straight over. And guys, it's not a bad idea to keep a record of your posts anyway. Every once in a while, sometimes it hiccups, so then you can just repost your post back in there again. So it's not a bad idea. And then they are looking at APA formatting, but it's kind of a little bit more relaxed APA formatting. So I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed with it as well, as far as how that part is graded. Okay, so I also do posts. So you'll notice that I'm going to be posting in there as well. So I've already created a post for you, and then I will post twice during there. And then I also, if I get them submitted to me by Wednesday of the week, which is the due date for the initial post, I will respond back to your post. I'll put comments on it. Sometimes I might tell you if you forgot something. I might say, hey, what about this? Just to see if I can help you make your post be a little bit more complete. So when I grade it, you'll get more points. So just know I do that sometimes. Let's see. I would rather have your first post be your substantive post. It doesn't have to be, but I would rather have it be. So rather have that one be your big one. And then I don't want any discussion posts after Saturday, really, because I really don't like grading them. So that's the truth. I will give you an opportunity to make corrections most of the time on your assignment or assessment if they're something that you have to submit to me as work, because I really want you to learn and understand, and it gives you an opportunity to make corrections. But I don't really want to do that on discussions because grading those is not very fun for me. So that's my truth. Okay, assignments and assessments are due on Saturday by 11:59. If you guys have something that happens, like, there's some kind of accident or something like that, let me know and contact me before. Email is probably the best way of contacting me. Not so much text, but the system can keep track of that information. It's kind of going to the phone number is going to a different system. But email is probably the best way to contact me, and if you can do it before the project's due, then I can make arrangements with you. If not, I really do try to give you guys at least one give me. I don't really have an opportunity to do that on the last class. So the very last week, the week 4, there's not a lot of options there because I have to get my grades in by a certain time. I do score down 1% per day when work is late. So I still accept work that's late, not discussions, but assignments and assessments. Just know that they're not going to be for full points. I will take off 1% per day that it's late. So, yeah. And most of the time, the people that come to my class, they're not the ones that are submitting things late. So, okay. Yeah, and I will, like I said, I will generally let you guys utilize the feedback that I give you and then resubmit things if there was some kind of issue or something like that. I'll post the lecture for you guys. I will post it online, and then I also will post it for you here in the classroom. So you'll find it in the announcements. And then also, if you go down here to readings and videos, I think this is where it is. No, it is here under live session. And then right here, I will post my video. Right here on live session, this is the one that you guys want to watch. Notice there's the time listed underneath it so you guys have an idea. But my anticipation is that you are looking at these in advance. So this is going to cover a lot of the basic tools. And then like for this week, there's an actual assessment where it's a test that you take. And I would use this and make sure you watch this before you take the assessment, because your questions change and they won't be the same questions for everybody. And I don't have a way of covering every one of those because I don't know what all of the questions are going to be. So I'm going to just cover general stuff, but you could I would probably anticipate most of the answers being here in this pre-recorded video. And you'll notice that there's one for each week. So I might do a little bit of reviewing ideas, and you might hear a little bit of duplication between us, but this is where my videos will be stored after that, and then I also will put them in the announcements for you. So you'll have it in both locations. Okay, so there's a live lecture. Sorry, the time's wrong on that. I didn't fix that this morning earlier. Sorry, but that's the right number. You guys will notice the number right there at the bottom. So that's specific to me. And then we're going to be doing the live classes from 4 to 6 Mountain Time on Mondays, and then at 5 on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. You can watch the pre-recorded one, and then if you want, you might want to watch mine just so that, because I do cover some specifics on what I'm looking for on assignments. So yeah, Sarah, if you need to go, that's cool. All right, so yeah, so we'll work on that one. And then this number you can contact me at if you guys would like, but the number in the system is also a good one to contact as well. And then this is the email you guys can contact me through. You can also contact me through Canvas. Did you guys have any questions before I kind of start walking through the assignment and the assessment and stuff for this week and discussion? No, okay. All right. So what we're going to be focusing on this one is we're going to be talking about how to create a new document in Illustrator. Again, this is going to be similar to what you guys will find in Photoshop, how to modify and work with multiple artboards, how to identify basic selection and mold tools. Now, these are going to be pretty helpful to you, so definitely want to know some of the basic tools. I'll talk you guys through where things are located on the screen and what they're called. Discuss similarities and differences between raster and vector artwork, and identify the difference between scalable and pixel images. Again, this has to do with raster and vector. Okay, I think this is something really important. And I've had some students in my past classes say, hey, my job is currently looking for me to have certifications in programs like Illustrator. It turns out that through lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Education, I'm not sure what it's called now, that you can actually go through the classes and become certified in Illustrator as you're going through the classes. So there are separate classes. I'll show you where they're located in just a second, but you guys can actually go through there and get the certification at the same time that you're taking this. and then you would have a certification to place on your resume. I think that's just a good thing to have, and LinkedInLynda.com is a well-recognized source, and the instructions on there are usually really good, and they're kind of included in some of the videos that we have for this class. So I'm going to kind of show you where those are located, but you know, is anybody kind of looking for something like that, just to have that certification? Maybe for a job or something like that? You guys can place it right on your resume. Yeah, it doesn't hurt for sure. Joseph wants it all. Yeah, and Photoshop. I think they might have it for Photoshop too. I am not positive. So Derek, you might look back. I think your class is still available to you for Photoshop. And you might click on that link just to see inside of Photoshop. It's been a while since I've taught Photoshop. But you might click on the link in there and just see if it takes you right there to LinkedIn or lynda.com. And so you can complete the certification for that one as well. I think there might be. We might ask Christina Fastbrink, and she might actually know that information. She's in a, yeah. All right, so one of the other things that you guys might notice is that you might start noticing some of the same names in your classrooms. And if you guys have that, it's kind of nice for you to build relationships with people. It turns out, according to the research, that you're more likely to stay in your class if you build relationships with people. So you might pay attention to who shows up in your classes and what discussion posts are there. And there's multiple sections, unfortunately, so even though someone might also be an illustrator, they might end up being in a different section. So they may not show up there with you, but I have 2 sections of Illustrator. So at least in the lectures, you guys might be able to run across some of the same people in there. And then in the introduction section of the class, if you guys take a look at the intro in here, and one of the ways I like to access this is I like to go right down here at the bottom and just click on the week. And then one of the things I'm asking you guys for here is under week 1 is that there's a specific type of drawings style that you like. So Mallory's already responded back. And just so you guys know, again, I have multiple sections. So if you look right here at the number, there's a 1 and there's a 2. So this particular class is section 1. And if you have a 2, then you're not gonna, and you posted something in here and you don't see it, that's why. Don't be concerned. So Mallory actually sent some pictures of their own drawings. That's excellent. So that helps. And then I'm actually not a drawer. I don't draw. The only way I'm a designer or an artist is actually on the computer. So some of you have some really cool skills where you're a drawer. Do I have any drawers in here? Or anyone that uses other mediums like paints or pastels or anything like that? Sketchers? Okay. This is really the program for people like you. When you guys sketch something, what you can do now is take a picture of it. You guys can bring it into Illustrator, and then later on in the term, I'll show you how you can take that and convert that over to a digital file. And if you want, then you can just color it in Illustrator and have a digital format for a design that you created. Yeah, so Jasmine does digital drawing and sketch. Anybody have a Wacom or a tablet that they use for their drawing, or they have a pen? Okay, excellent. And some people find that they really like those as well. My tablet was so old, I think I got it back in 2003. It was a Wacom tablet and it stopped working well and kept causing it to drop extra points and stuff. So I'm just back down to a regular mouse now, but I did love mine and it was really fun. And if you know, you guys have the resources to get one of those, they can be really cool and a little bit more intuitive as far as how you're handling it. The thing that you have to know, at least with the Wacom tablet or Wacom, I'm not sure what the pronunciation is, but it's a one-to-one on the screen. So if you're in the upper right-hand corner of your tablet, you're in the upper right-hand corner of the application. Versus if you pick your mouse up and scooch it over, it'll just scooch over. It doesn't work the same way when you're working with a tablet. So your brain has to translate that. So just know that it's not necessarily quite the same. Hey, Anthony. So know that there's a shift in those particular ones. So I am kind of asking for your, what kind of drawing styles or what you enjoy doing as far as design goes. And then I asked you guys to share some examples so we can see what they look like, because it's fun to see what work you guys do. This week for the discussion, what we're going to have you guys do is there's a specific scenario. Anthony, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and then if you need to unmute, you're welcome to do that. Oh, you did it. Thank you. There's going to be a scenario, and they actually have scenarios for the next couple. So in this case, this company called Land Ho Boat Design is kind of running into a little bit of a challenge. So first of all, the designer A is in web design. So what we know is if somebody's in web design, they oftentimes will work with what we call raster-based, right? So those are pictures, like you guys said, that you use in Photoshop. Part of the contract also is to design a logo for the website, and they created this awesome one. So they really like it. It has some gradients, and it has some drop shadows, and it looks really cool. But then designer B, he works in a sign shop, and he has to take it and he needs to place it on a banner. And so the challenge is that he now needs a vector, which means that he's able to resize it and make it much larger and still have it look beautiful, clean, and crisp. If you take a raster-based image and you enlarge it, it starts to pixel, and you end up with those little squares, and it looks poopy. That's a technical term, poopy. That doesn't look good. So we really want to make sure that we're using images that are meant to be enlarged and stretched. And then we don't want to, and we want to make sure that we're maintaining the height to width proportions. So you don't want to ever create something that looks like it's stretched. You want to just create something that's going to stay the same height to width, right? And I can tell most of the time when things are stretched. So it's just one of those little things. I teach public speaking, communications classes on campus, and my poor students have to do PowerPoints. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I teach graphic design, and when you guys do your PowerPoints, you're going to get more feedback than you ever wanted on your PowerPoint. They're like, no, make her stop. Okay. Designer A, he built it in Photoshop. So what's our challenge if he built it in Photoshop? What's it going to be? What kind of file is it going to be? Just naturally, if it's just a PSD file. What kind of file is it? Yes. PSD is the native file, so you are correct on that one, Anthony, and Derek, you're also correct. It is a raster file. So that means that it's built up all the little pixels, and when you guys are working in Photoshop, what you're doing is you're manipulating the pixels. But my little guy down here is going to be working with Illustrator, and it has drop shadows. Now, are drop shadows naturally a problem? They can be, because sometimes it doesn't necessarily print correctly. You can create drop shadows inside of Illustrator, but if you're trying to pull it over from Photoshop and it has a bunch of extra stuff on it and gradients and stuff, what oftentimes will do is it will do this little ribboning thing. So it's a little bit better for us to build it, if we're going to add drop shadows, is to actually do them inside of Illustrator. So what are we going to do if he gives us a JPEG for our Illustrator guy that has to put it now on a sign? What's going to happen? You guys have any ideas what we might do for that? can convert it to a logo. Any idea what we might do to convert it to a logo, Anthony? You can. I'm just wondering if you know how, if you're familiar with it. Got it. It's okay. Okay, so there would be a couple options. One, I might go back to Designer 1 and I might say, hey, can you give me that file? And maybe ask for it in the native Photoshop. If I get it in the native Photoshop, a lot of times I can bring it into Illustrator and work with it. So that can be helpful. You can actually create vector shapes inside of Photoshop. And so that way, if it's a vector shape and it was created vector in Photoshop, I can bring that PSD file into Illustrator and be able to manipulate it. And there's also something called image or live trace. So depending on which program that you're looking at, I mean, it's called the same thing. It's just that, let's see, what's the current term for it? I think the current term for it is image trace now, and I think the old term for it was live trace. So we can take something in that is a raster image. We can bring it into Illustrator and we can use something called image or live trace, and we can convert it over to vector. But it can be really tricky because sometimes it interprets extra stuff in there, and you go to delete the extra stuff and you end up with all kinds of extra challenges. So I've actually worked with someone that was creating a book. The guy was a cartoon artist, and he's a cartoonist, and he would create his drawing. They would scan them into the computer, and then we'd actually have to go through Photoshop. We had to get rid of all these extra little artifacts, these really weird black dots that end up showing up in there. We take the text off. We would take it into Illustrator. We would do the image or live trace. We would get rid of, hey Christina, we would get rid of all the extra little lines and stuff. We would put the text back in Vectorland, which is in Illustrator, and then we would take that into InDesign. So that was our final step. So we actually used all three programs in order to complete that work. So, when we're looking at walking through these processes, there's ways to do this kind of stuff where we can convert the files over, but know that it's not like it's going to come out beautiful and perfect, because it's a little bit complicated as you're going through that. And then what you guys are going to do is create a conclusion. So what are the similarities and differences? After identifying them, what were some of the things that we might have to worry about? What suggestions would you give for designer A and designer B? When I grade these guys, I actually look to make sure that you did all of these. So that's part of my grading. I'm looking to make sure that each one of these pieces is taken care of. So please, when you guys are going to write your discussion post, kind of make sure that you're walking through and making sure that all the questions are answered. What questions do you have for me on the discussion post? You guys are doing okay? Okay. So I'll point to the conclusion has to be answered. Yeah, because basically when you guys look at it, you'll notice that you have this scenario 1. How will this affect designer B? So these questions need to be answered. You need to answer the questions based on designer 2, and then you need to answer the conclusion. So I would say there's 4 parts. First thing I would say, anytime that you guys are starting off with doing a discussion, is I would start by defining what raster and vector are. I would start there. Anytime you guys are going to go do something, maybe start by defining what you think the major terms are that someone might need to know in order for this thing to make sense. So you start, first paragraph, here's an overview of what raster and vector mean. And then answer this first one for scenario 1, a second paragraph for scenario 2, or third paragraph, and then the last paragraph would be for conclusion. And it helps me as the reader to have things kind of organized like that. So group things together in a logical way, and it makes it easy for me to grade it. It also shows that you have answered each of those individual questions. So it helps the grader, and if the grader's happy, then it makes it easier for us to give you good grades, because we're happy with the way you answer the questions. Cool. Are you talking about in all the discussion posts throughout the term? Is that what you mean, Joseph? Because basically for me, yeah, so this is true for week 1. Week 2, we have different questions, but the process, I would say to you, is the same for all of them. I would define any major terms that you have to take care of in the first paragraph, and then they kind of follow the same pattern a little bit within this particular class as far as how they break those ideas out. Okay. Hey, Christina, do you want to say hi first? I don't know if you need to go, so I don't want to keep you here. If you want to just say hello. Hello, she's saying hello.
Hi, how are you? So, my kids were yelling, so hi everyone.
They're quiet. They're just typing every once in a while.
That's okay. Did you talk a little bit about what I'm gonna do or
I did a little bit. I said that you were extra support. I was saying you're getting
yeah.
hello. You're getting hello from Anthony.
Hello. Yeah, I'm going to be the lab instructor. So if you're going to be hearing, everybody will be hearing from me tonight, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm going to do. But I'm here to help everybody and do what I can and answer any questions and really be a support for you and for Sherry. So I'm excited for the next couple of weeks, and I hope that you are too.
I told him that you were the one that hired me.
Oh no! Oh yeah, that was years ago. Oh my
A long
goodness.
time ago. Yes. Yes. And that you are an Illustrator fan like I am.
Huge. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Yes. So
So
big.
we both love it, and we both love Illustrator. So I think that makes a difference, guys, because there is a certain amount of passion that we have about our programs. It's just who did you guys have for Photoshop? Did you guys have like, I'm not sure, when my brain can't remember. What's her name, Christina? The one that always teaches Photoshop. Carly, yes. So
Thank you,
Carly,
Carly.
she is awesome, and she loves Photoshop, right? Well, I love Illustrator. So yeah, she's excellent. Isn't she good?
Yes. I'm so excited for Illustrator because I used to teach it, and I'm just so gracious. I'm so excited for the next couple of weeks. So it's
Yes.
gonna be fantastic.
Yes. Yes. And I'm really glad you guys, Anthony said she was cool and he liked her. Yeah, I think she's really nice. And she shared some information when I taught it a while back with me. And, she's just a really kind person just in general. So I'm not surprised that you guys picked up on that. Yeah. And so Christine and I feel passionate about Illustrator the way that she feels passionate about Photoshop, and she's very, very good at it. So that's a cool thing. So yeah, and Christina, is this the first semester that they're doing that, where they're doing this with the extra?
No, actually, they've been doing it for a while, and but for with different people and stuff. So now I'm going to be working with you and with you all for this class.
Okay. And so I haven't been teaching online for a little bit, so this is my first semester kind of back doing this, and so I wasn't sure. I hadn't done this for a while, so sounds like they've been doing it for a little bit. I'm just new to it, so just grateful to have the extra support, and I think it really helps you guys. Oh, so so Christina, I was telling them about the certification for Illustrator, and that when they complete the lynda.com or LinkedIn thingy, that they can do they can get a certification for Illustrator. Is that true for Photoshop as well?
You know what? I'm not sure because it's with we don't do the Linda videos, it's the LinkedIn Learning now. And
Right.
so I can find out though and ask around and get back to everybody.
Okay. Because I think they can still do it because I think that all they did was just change the name of it. And I think they can still get the certification for Illustrator. So I was checking for Photoshop because I had students in the past that did the certification for Illustrator. And yeah, and some of them would really like to have that. Okay, yeah, so Derek wants to know, so that'd be cool.
Yep, I'll get right on that.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. All right, any other questions you guys have for Christina? I don't know if she can stay, so. You can earn a certificate, yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit. And again, I just wanted to say hey to everybody, and you'll be hearing from me.
Yeah, so you guys will recognize your name, right? So something that's going to be familiar to you. And I think it's awesome to get you guys some extra support with this, so that's always a beautiful thing. All right, so this week's quiz, guys, is going to be on the session on the readings. So really want to have you guys kind of focus on that. And then you'll also have 2 questions at the end of that one that are going to ask you about basically raster vector kind of things. And you do want to make sure that you're kind of covering main ideas there. So things like, you know, being able to resize things, about pixeling, and do a good job of giving me some good detailed information. And remember how I told you I check on your discussion posts to make sure they're at least 150 words? I check on these too to make sure they're at least 50 words. And that's part of my scoring. So, yeah. So make sure you guys are reading the questions, that you're doing a good job of answering them completely, because that's one of the things I'm checking on. You know, when you think about classes, it's really good to think about your teachers being your boss for that moment, right? They're going to be your current boss. And your boss says, this is what I want from you. I want you to follow through with my instructions. So think about us being like your boss for that moment, and that this is my set of instructions, and this is what I want to make sure that you're following through with for me. Okay, for this assignment, you guys are going to draw, move, apply strokes and shapes in Illustrator. And then we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the shape tools that you can use in order to kind of build things in here. And then notice that you're going to do this at 8.5 by 11 with 3 artboards. So I'll talk to you guys about how to create additional artboards. Anthony, you said you have a question? Go ahead and type that in there, and then I can't draw. No, you'll be fine. Anthony's concerned about that he's not a big drawer, and it's not going to be a problem. We're going to show you guys tools that we have here inside of Illustrator. This first one that you guys are going to be doing for your assignment is really all about dealing with shapes. The second week, when we start working with the pen tool, it's more like follow along with shapes and using the tools that we have in there to create off of something that's already there. So it's just going to be more about, can you trace something kind of thing at this point using the tools. And it's just a matter of teaching your eye and your hand how to learn these 2 tools together. When you guys did the Photoshop, did you guys do Carly gives you the pen tool thing where you guys can take the little exam and you can draw the shapes? It's like a little game. Did anybody do that while you were in Carly's class for Photoshop? Yeah. The pen tool that you're using there is the same pen tool you're using here. The pen tool is native to Illustrator. It's came much later to Photoshop. So Photoshop didn't used to have the pen tool. It belongs, its home place is here, yes. So Christina's posting the link there for you guys. So it's the bezier.method.ac. Oh gosh, guys, I'm going to tell you what. Derek just said it's a lot easier with the mouse. I'm going to tell you what. If you would like to save your sanity, use a mouse for this work. If you didn't have a mouse for Photoshop, you could probably maybe live without it. And if you guys want to be masters at your trackpad, that's cool. And what you might do is do that over time. But if you want to use it for the pen tool, it could save you a lot of headaches, because sometimes people trying to use the trackpad and trying to get the trackpad to go and use the pen tool can make you want to punch somebody. And we don't want that to happen. Hit your pillow or something. But you know, it's really crazy making when you're trying to use the pen tool and you're not using a mousey. And I think with the Macs, you guys have to have special mousies. Christine, you have a Mac, right?
No, I'm on a PC actually.
You're also PC. Okay, so the both of us are on PCs, but again, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I've had some students get upset because it looks different, but the people that are on PCs are also looking at people on Macs. So, you know, it's kind of like the trade-off. But we're both PCs, and like I said, I don't think it's that much different. So I don't think you guys are going to have that much of an issue. But Derek, you are absolutely correct. Having a mousey. Okay, thanks, Jaden. Having a mousey is going to save your sanity. Gotta say. Okay. What you're going to do for the assignment is you're going to have 3 artboards. The first artboard, you're going to have some specific elements. You're going to have a 2x2 circle and a 2x2 square. So they're going to be 2 inches by 2 inches. I'll show you how you can see inches on there. You're going to create a 5-pointed star, a 7-pointed star, and a 10-pointed star. You're going to create a triangle, and you're going to use the polygon tool to do it. I'm going to show you guys some really cool tips and tricks to make your life a little easier with that. And then you're going to color them and have no outline or stroke. So when you hear the word outline, it also is the same thing as a stroke, okay? So you're going to take that off and just have the fill and the inside of the color. And then you're going to arrange shapes into an interesting design on the board. So randomly placing them on the board is not going to give you points for interesting design. So give them some meaning. Maybe make something out of it, like a house or something, a Christmas scene. I don't know. Have some fun. The second artboard. So what you're going to do in the second artboard is you're going to create 2 or more rectangles, 2 or more ellipses, 2 or more stars, 2 or more polygons. You're going to use different strokes, different colors, different sizes. And I'm going to show you guys some fun tools with that. And then you're going to combine the shapes again in an interesting way to make a cool design. The third artboard, you guys are going to use an image. So let me see if I can pull up one of these for you guys. Can you guys see my little pictures right here? So you guys are going to pick one of these little guys. Good. You guys are going to pick one of these little guys to draw. And then you're going to be using shapes. So if you guys look right here, even if you look at the chicken, you'll notice the chicken has a bunch of ellipses. So you'll see, here, I'll just click on it so you guys can see a little bit bigger. That's kind of small. And maybe it'll come up in a second. If you guys are seeing a blank black screen, that's what I have to. Okay, we'll give it a second. Oh, there it goes. Okay. You'll notice that we have an ellipse here, an ellipse here. Ellipse just means a circle, right? A circle means it's a completely rounded circle. An ellipse just means that it's not necessarily completely rounded, but it's a round shape, okay? So you'll notice also the ellipse for the eye, ellipse for the body, and then we have a couple other shapes here that we're going to have to create and draw. So if we look at that, what we want to do is we want to pay attention, first of all, to the shapes so that we can create this in the simplest way possible. So I'm going to walk through one of these with you guys today and show you how you can just create this. Cool? And you don't have to do all of them. You just pick one. Pick one of these little shapies that you're going to make. And there's some fun tools we can use, like Shape Builder, to help combine the shapes together. So I'll try to show you guys some of that stuff too. So that's going to be the third artboard. Then you're going to need to make it a template, and we're going to show you how to make that this image. You're going to place it on there and how to make it into a template, how to rename your layer into into something called final artwork, and then add strokes and stuff if you would like to. Okay, so this is what the images look like a little closer up. And you're going to pick one of these 5 to do. Not all of them, but just one. Now in this class, you're going to notice that there's a naming convention for the assignments. You'll notice that they're all start off with DES. They use an underscore, their assignment or assessment, the number of the week, underscore, and then your first and last name. I had a student that thought he was clever and he would write first, last name. That's not okay. I want yours. And the reason that we do that is it just makes it easier for us to grade. If I have to go back and find one and your name's there, then I can find you easy. But if it's just all there have different names on them, it makes it harder to find. So this is just really to make it easy for us instructors to grade your stuff, okay? So DES103 underscore assignment or assessment, the number of the week, underscore first and last name. And this is listed in the instructions, so you don't have to memorize this, but just please know that I am actually looking at that. It's part of how I grade you. And then you're going to submit it in the native file. The native file for Illustrator is a .ai. What's the native file for Photoshop? Do you guys remember? Good job. .psd, excellent. So the native file for Photoshop is PSD. The native file for Illustrator is AI. All right. I have a slightly different rubric. My rubric is similar to this one. It's just that I place the comments right inside the rubric. So you guys do want to go back and re-grab the rubric, click on it, and then you'll find feedback inside of the rubric from me. That's how I use the rubric. This part over here is pretty much the same. I just changed this part and put the comments right inside. Okay. Are you guys ready for me to pull up some Illustrator and start playing? Is anybody excited besides me? All right. Yay, Derek's excited. All right, let's do this. All right. So let me just make sure that you guys know where to go in the classroom, and then we'll go play with Illustrator. So again, you guys are going to do the introduce yourself. If you go down here to the bottom and just go to next. Joseph is a boss. He's a boss. You go, Joseph. He's a boss. This talked to you guys about raster and vector. Again, I would probably do 4 paragraphs. I would do a paragraph that talks to you guys about that. What I did in my post, my initial post, is I didn't necessarily answer the question. Yes, boss. Okay. I actually gave you some additional information that might be helpful to you. So just know when you guys look through sometimes my posts, they might be a little bit different. They don't necessarily answer the question, but they might give you some additional information. My second post that I have that I'll probably post for you guys tomorrow will have more like answering the questions kind of stuff in there. So just know that that piece is going to be there. I do some different things in my responses. Okay, and then this is assignment 1. So this is the one we talked about. 3 different artboards. And then these are the prompts. So I will see if I can attach my PowerPoint to the video when I post it in these announcements as well, just in case it's helpful. Hi, Elizabeth. And then right here, you guys can choose your images. So if you guys remember from the PowerPoint, let me see if I can bring it back up. I guess it doesn't have it there. I can bring it up here. And then you guys can see the names right there. I don't think that's going to make it any bigger. Cat 1 is brown cat. Cat 2 is pink cat. Cat 3 is gray cat. And then you guys will click on that. What it'll do is it'll show up in your download folder. Cat 3 is ready to fight. Yeah, it's got that thing going on. And then it shows up in your download folder. What you can do is you can just go to Illustrator and then you can just, what we call place it. you can place it onto your third artboard right from your download folder. So that's kind of the easy way to do it. I told you guys this was going to be located here. So here's just a reminder of the formatting you want to use for how you're going to save out your files. Okay, and there's the grading rubric. Again, my feedback goes right here. So you guys are going to want to click back on the rubric in order to see my feedback. Then this is the assessment. So you guys will take it. Like I said, I recommend that you watch the video that's placed in there. Let me remind you guys where that's located. So if I click right back here on this little guy or go to home, either one. If you go to live sessions, I'm going to show you two places to go. Go to live sessions right here. And then this is the pre-recorded video, and then my lecture will be right here. The other place to go is to go right here to readings and videos. And then the lynda.com or the LinkedIn Learning, which is right here, you guys will click right there. And I think this is the one that's going to take you to the one that lets you get the certification. Okay? So you guys need to click there. You need to access it from here. So they have videos that are going along with everything that we're covering from each week. So you guys will see those additional videos right here. All right. So you guys, Joseph and Derek, you guys got where that's located? Okay, perfect. Let's go play now. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring up the assignment for this week. And we'll keep this here so we can go back and refer to it if we need to. Okay, so let's go ahead and open Illustrator. Let me kind of talk you guys through stuff. I'm going to shrink this up just a little bit so I can keep my, again, my chat is over here in my corner, so that's why I don't use up the full screen so I can see what you guys are saying to me. Okay, so the first thing that you'll notice when you guys open it up, you have a slightly different screen if you haven't opened Illustrator before. A lot of times what you'll see is you'll see some files here. So if you guys have previous files, a lot of times you can open them from here. If I know what size document I want, I can grab it from here. I can open a previous file and I can also create new. So we're going to choose the option to create new. Now it comes up this window. What you'll also see are some of these little guys up here. Again, this is just to make it easier for you to grab the right size for you. You'll notice that you also have things like inches, points, picas. Now one of the things that can be helpful to you is if you do this before you actually open Illustrator. If you do it while a document's open, sometimes it makes it only specific to that document. But hold on, it's not responding. Let's give it a moment. Come back. Come back. Oh, no. Come back. All right. So if we were to close, let me close this just really quickly so I can, okay. So you guys on Macs, you guys have like a little logo up here in the corner. It's just this Illustrator up there. That's what you're going to click on for this. For us PC people, we're going to go down here to File and Documents. Nope, we're going to go to Preferences, sorry. Edit and Preferences. So on the Macs, you guys are going to click on the logo in the corner. For PCs, we're going to click right here under our preferences. And one of the things you'll notice right here is it gives you a lot of the preference things that you might want to set up. Now, one thing, I'm going to turn this on, just it makes me a little crazy because I'm not used to it. It's not part of my way of using it, but as you guys are learning it, if you want to leave this double click to isolate on, you can do that. I will turn it on just so I can show you what it does, but I'm not a fan, but know that you guys can choose that. You'll notice that my screen is light colored. I don't like the black. This is the way that it normally comes out once they've updated Illustrator and they've rebuilt it from the bottom up. They actually turned the programs to black. If you like that, that's cool. Not a fan. So mine's light colored, so I chose light over here. Another thing that you can do is you can play with the type and how that's going to look. You can do units. So this is what you might want to focus on. And most of your assignments in this class are set up in units, so you can change this to inches. I think it defaults to points. I think it does. I would leave stroke in points. I would leave type in points. They're the most common ones. And then you hit OK. And normally if you do that, it should automatically load that up for you in those formats, but no guarantees. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create new. So even if it doesn't, notice that you can choose the options right here. You do want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. If for some reason you go into your assignments and things just seem wonky and you're typing and the type looks like it's totally off, there's a good chance that you did everything in pica instead of in inches. So if you notice something weird and wonky, go back and check this and you can change it later if you need to. We're going to do this in inches. So 8.5 by 11 is what we want. Notice you have your choice between landscape and portrait. And then we're going to create 3 artboards right here. Okay. Now I'm going to turn these on just so that you guys can see what they look like. We're going to turn on the bleed. I'm going to turn on my advanced options down here. Any idea what CMYK color is related to, and the other one is RGB? Any ideas? Any ideas what the differences are? One is for web. Any idea which one's for web? Joseph, is it RGB or CMYK? Ooh, good guess. It's actually flipped, but good guess. Yeah. RGB stands for red, green, blue, and that's going to be stuff that's on a screen. CMYK is for things that will be printed. You'll notice right here that I have my raster effects on high. 300 ppi means that it's a really good quality image. Most of the stuff that you're going to find that's going to be viewed on a screen is going to be at 72 dpi ppi. So down here, 72. So for most things, I would say I generally leave mine on high because I might be using it for print and I might be using it for screen. But you can just go right here and change it if you need to. So I'm going to show you what the bleed looks like. We're going to leave it at a 0.125 bleed. And I'm going to talk to you guys about what that is just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. Okay, so if you guys look right here on my thing, you'll notice that there's a red line. Can you see it? Red line is for the bleed. And what the bleed is if you're going to print something, take a look at a book cover. And you'll notice that the color on a book cover goes all the way to the edge of the page. Well, the printer can't print all the way to the edge of the page. It will always shift it in like 1/8 of an inch. So what they do is they create a bleed, and you pick the size that you want it to be in the ends, and then you create a bleed, and you pull your color all the way to the edge of this bleed. And then when the printer prints it, they trim off that edge, and then they'll print it on a larger piece of paper. So sometimes you can plan for the bleed and make your design a little bit smaller so it'll fit in 8.5 by 11, but that's really common. Okay, so that's a bleed. Now I can change this. I can go back here to my document setup under file, and I can turn off my bleed if I can remember. I think it's here. Yep, it's right here. And I'm going to turn off my bleed. You'll notice the red line go away. All right. Okay, so let me kind of talk you through a screen. So the first thing I want you guys to notice up here across the top is I've got my file, my edit object. These are going to be some of my main tools, and this is where a lot of my tools are stored. The second thing I want you guys to notice is right here where it says Essentials Classic. I think what it defaults to on yours is just Essentials. I like Essentials Classic. If you want to look like my screen, you would want to change this. to Essentials Classic, but let's just take a look at what happens. I want you guys just to watch this side right here. This is called my panels, okay? So watch what happens as I change this. I'm going to go to Layout. Get different panels over here on the side, okay? Now I'm going to go to Typography. I get different panels. Can you guys see that? Are you seeing this change right here? So the one I choose is good. Thank you, Elizabeth. I choose Essentials Classic. Thank you, Derek. I choose this over here, and this gives me a lot of the tools I'm going to use. So what you'll see are some of my type tools right here. You'll see some, this is because I saved it this way, so that's actually not this. Let me reset Essentials Classic, because these actually don't belong in there. Those are things I've added later, sorry. So the type tools and the align tools aren't naturally part of that, but you can add them. And then I have a lot of my layers and my stroke and my brushes and things. And then this is really cool because this gives me properties. Now the reason that I like Essentials Classic as well is it does give me the application bar up here. It's kind of duplicated right here on those properties. This is something they added later, but I'm used to it, so I like it. So that's why I choose Essentials Classic, because it keeps this application bar up here across the top for me. And you'll notice this application bar change. So watch as I go to the type tool, you'll notice this application bar is going to be specific to type now. So this bar will change depending on what I have going on over there. You'll notice that my properties changed too, okay? So this over here changes as well. Okay, and then this is my toolbar over here. So this is my application bar. These are my panels, and this is my toolbar. All right, take a look at my toolbar for me and tell me, based on your Photoshop experience, if there's anything that you recognize. And give me the name of the tool that you recognize, or give me at least what it looks like. Anything look familiar to you? Brushes, excellent. Text, good. So T for type, text. Anything else? Eyedropper, excellent. Gradient, yes. Layers, good. Yeah, that's on the panel side, good. Great. So you guys are recognizing some of those tools, the move tool, good job. Okay. So some of these are going to stay the same. Now these are two of the most important ones, and you guys will notice that I have my toolbar doubled. So if I just double click on this little guy right here, this is single. If I give this a click over here, it makes it double. This is the old-fashioned way. This is the way that it came out originally. And I have a tendency to use multiple applications at the same time. So I might have Photoshop and Illustrator open at the same time, and so I have them shrunk up. And it doesn't help me to have that long toolbar falling off the edge. So for me, I like mine doubled. So if you like it doubled, then you can do that. You'll also notice that if you have it doubled, things are grouped together in logical ways. So a lot of the stuff that you have up here, these ones up here at the top in particular, are going to be more like, how do I activate? How do I choose points? That's kind of these ones. These are a little bit more creation tools. So my pen tool, my type tool. This is my line tool. This is my shape tool. This is my brush tool. Then you kind of go into a little bit of manipulation tools right here. These are some sort of more free-form tools. Again, kind of playing tools. These are going to be kind of specific ones to Illustrator. I'll see if this one's really fun, so I'm going to see if I can show you guys some of these little fun tools. Down here at the bottom, this is the artboard tool. These are more like moving tools, or how do I manipulate my screen. These are my colors, and these are super important. So this is my fill, and this is my stroke. And then these are ways I can manipulate my color and stroke. So you guys will notice that and this is screen mode. This is something new to Illustrator. It was always part of InDesign. So this idea of being able to see your screen in a preview mode versus just a regular mode. So if you guys look at these tools, they're kind of grouped together in a logical way. And again, your panels will change depending on which artboard or workspace that you have selected. Know that you can also create a workspace that works for you, and then you can save your own little workspace. So I can create a new workspace right here. I set it up the way that I want it, and then I call it what I want to call it. I don't really use export asset that much. So sometimes you may not use everything on there. It's absolutely like Photoshop. The thing that you want to know is these programs were built to work together with each other. So Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, they're meant to work together. So you will find things that are the same in both programs and they relate to each other. And the cool thing is you learn a hotkey in one and it stays the same hotkey. So how many of you guys know what I say when I say a hotkey? What's a hotkey? Any idea? I know Carly teaches them. Anybody remember any of the hotkeys she talked about? They're shortcut keys. Yes. So some of the ones that you want to know would be like the A and the V, which are to get these two right here. And the cool thing is they stay the same. It's kind of like when you hit commands, yes. Command R, yes. So Command R actually gives you the ruler. And then the cool thing is it's Control in PC land and it's Command in Mac. So not hard to remember. It's Alt in PC land, it's Option in Mac. So again, not hard to remember. A lot of these will stay the same. So T for type tool, B for brush, P for pen. These stay the same, the A and the V. And if you leave it on, you guys can just put your cursor over there. Command plus yes. I don't even know what Shift Option 3 is. What is Shift Option 3? I don't use that one. What is that one, Anthony? Screenshot. Oh, there you go. Cool. So these two you'll want to memorize. And what I would say too is if you watch a lot of those really great graphic designers, they're not going to be spending all their time going over clicking on the tools. They're hitting their hotkeys. They got their hands where they needed them to go and they're popping through those. So I'll try to mention those and talk you guys through them as I'm clicking on stuff. Z for zoom, so Z for the zoom tool. If you want to, unless you're using the type tool is going to change things, but let me take that off. But check this out. If I hit my space bar, I get the hand tool, right? So that's cool. If I hit Z and I hit the Alt or Option key, I'll zoom away. If I don't have the Alt or Option key and I zoom in. So I hit the Option or Alt key and I move away. So learning these tools can really save you a lot of time in the end. So it is good for you to know the hotkeys. Cool? Is being rescored so I can go back. Oh, is it being recorded? Yes, this is being recorded. Yeah, for sure. We got you hooked up. And I think that a lot of that's covered in the video as well. So I try to talk you guys through them as well. You're internet famous, that's right. That's right. Of course, I only have them set up for you guys to watch, but it's okay. I don't have it for public, sorry. But you can be famous with the other classmates. So yeah, you guys are representing. All right, let's go through and start playing with this. You'll take it? All right, Joseph will take his fame where he can get it. All right, so let's start off with this. First thing I want to do is I'm going to click on this right here, and then I want you guys to see I can click right here on this guy right here, and I can pull this little toolbar off. If I close it, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just still right here. So it doesn't hurt anything for you guys to take those off. If you're going to be using them, which we will be for this assignment, it can save you guys some time just to have them kind of off here, okay? So let's just start off with something really basic. I'm going to scooch some of this over so I can see. So I'm going to be able to see some of your comments. I'm just going to scooch this over just a hair so I can get the edge of the thingy here. The thingy. All right. So if we start off with a shape, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create something, and you'll notice that I can drag it out. But I can also control this. And so the way that I can control this is I can play with my stroke, so my application bar, but also my properties over here. So take a look over here. And what you guys can see is I'm supposed to create a square or rectangle. It's going to be a square basically because it is equal sides. But I'm going to actually create it, and I can do it 2 by 2 right here. So I can create it, and I'm going to change it right here to 2 by 2. And I have a perfect 2 by 2 square. I need to do a 2 by 2 ellipse, but also I can click and drag, and you guys will notice, can you see the little numbers in the corner? Can you see the height and width numbers in the corner down there? Let's see how close I can get to 2 by 2. And then usually when I let go of it, that's when I lose it. Oop, oop. See how I do? Ooh, 2.02. So I can just fix it. 2 by 2. Now I just made a square that's 2 by 2 and an ellipse that's 2 by 2. Okay. So know that you can control this. This X and Y is this location on the artboard, so where it's located. Here's my fill, here's my stroke, here's my fill, here's my stroke, here's my fill, here's my stroke. Now, that happens to have multiple places where you can find, oops, sorry, can you guys hear me? It's yelling at me. I'm playing with my headset. I bumped the cable. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, good. Okay. Well, notice that there's lots of places for you to be able to control these things because it just has to do with your workflow. If you happen to be in a certain workflow and it's easier for you to click up here, that's cool. And you'll also notice that some of the times the tools will act a little differently depending on which one you're clicking on. So you'll notice those elements as well. But in our case, we don't actually want to have a stroke on these. So the stroke is this line on the outside in our case. So let's take a look at what happens when I click over here. Well, actually, let me start here. Let's start with the swatches. And if I click on my swatches right here, what you'll see is I have a list of swatches. Whichever color's on top here is where the color is going to go if the stroke's on top. And also, I can switch it right here, which is really cool. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice that my fill, which is on top, is going to fill that with green. If I swap that, now my stroke is green, and let me bump it up so you guys can see it because it's still too small. Okay, now you can see that it's green. So my stroke is green and my fill is black. So I can flip those back and forth and make those change back and forth. So whichever one's on top. Now I can also do it here if I want to actually put a color on my stroke that's different. I can just click right there and make sure the stroke's on top. Notice that it flipped over here as well. Now I'm choosing colors from here is going to be a little different. This is literally picking the fill, and this is literally picking the stroke. So if I want to take the color off, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this white box with the red line through it. It takes the color off of whatever one I'm choosing it on. Okay, so that's how I get rid of a color. How we doing? All right, good so far. Okay. All right, so we're going to fill these with color and take off the strokes. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I can choose it from the properties here as well as from the swatches. But let's go ahead and go to the properties because it's kind of a cool way of doing it now. Okay. So let's go over here. I'm going to click on this to put my fill. I'm going to choose a red, kind of burgundy fill, and I'm going to choose a no stroke. So choose the white box with the red line through it. I'm going to do the same thing with this dude right here. I'm just going to get rid of the stroke. Okay. So fill, no stroke is part of that assignment. All right, so check this out. So now I need to do a 5-pointed star. So I've got I've got magic for the stars. Okay, let me click on star first. Okay, so check this out. So there's a 5-pointed star. Now I can double click on it and I can change the number of stars, and it's going to create a 7-pointed star. But I have another way of doing this. So watch this. I'm going to drag out my star. Now, can you guys locate for me, locate the number keys over there on the right-hand side. And can you see the up, down, left, right arrows right underneath the shift key on your keyboard? Can you see those? Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to drag this out. Oops, star. I'm going to drag out my star, and now I'm going to hit the up arrow, and I'm going to add 3 more points to it to give my 10-point star. Can you see that? So I can double click on the star to do it, and I can also add the points that way. So let's do the polygon. Oh, Joseph's mind's blown. All right, cool. We're blowing his mind. Okay, now I'm going to drag out the polygon tool, and now I'm going to hit the down arrow because I have to make a triangle, right? So now I'm going to hit the down arrow, and now I've got a triangle. Cool. How are we doing with that? Now layers are going to kind of automatically, the layers aren't being created. What's actually creating is actually creating these. So I'm going to click on this right here. You'll see paths. So every time you create a new shape, it's going to create a new path. Okay. If I want to create a new layer, I'm going to click on this little guy that looks like a piece of paper with the corner folded up. And when I go to do artboard number 2, I'm going to create a new layer for that one. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this one is, let me kind of just finish this off real quick so that you guys have this. And I'm going to just change the colors on this, okay? So I'm going to use the black arrow tool. The black arrow tool lets me select the entire object. Check this out, the white arrow tool, this is called the selection tool, this is called the direct selection tool. I'm going to click right on this point right here, and I can pull this point out. So direct selection tool allows me to select an individual point, and the selection tool allows me to choose the entire object. So let's just pop through here and let's add some colors. So I'm going to choose it from here because this is a fun way to choose it as well. So you guys can scroll up and down in here, and then I can just go in here and I can say, okay, I like this color, but I want it to be more white. I just go more towards the white. Or I like this color and I want it to be more black. I can just go towards the black. So let's just choose a pretty purple. Okay, and then we'll choose this one, and we'll just double click on the color chip here, and we're going to go with a green. And we'll click here, and we're going to go with a red, and we're going to click here, and let's give this little dude how about a yellow? A happy yellow, okay? Then I'm going to just place them. So the way that I'm going to move it is I'm going to click on the black arrow tool, and then I'm able to move things around into different locations. I can also resize them. So if you want to keep things the same height to width, so remember these are 2 by 2, and these need to stay, okay? So I'm not allowed to change these two because they're already sized to a specific size. But these ones right here, all of these other shapes I can change. So I'm just going to grab them. If I want to keep them proportional, I can hold on the shift key, or I can grab the corner, and you'll notice that it keeps the shape the same, height to width. Or if I grab in the middle, I can stretch it and give a different shape to it. If I put my cursor on the corner, I can rock and roll this puppy around, and I can move it. Maybe we'll make a little Christmas tree. So I can rotate it. If I get it on the corner right there, you'll notice I get that little kind of curved arrow. That's kind of a little bit big of star that might topple the Christmas tree. So maybe we'll shrink that down a bit. The other thing you'll want to notice is if I put the star behind it, maybe I don't want it to be behind it. So I can play over here with my layers. A couple ways that I can do that is, you'll notice that the layer that's currently selected has the little blue square next to it. Now I can either pick it up and move it, and I can move it up here on top. Or I'm gonna hit Command Z to put it back. I can also go up here to Object, Transform, Arrange, and then I can bring forward. Just goes forward 1. So if I want to bring it all the way forward, I'm gonna have to bring to front. and then it goes in front. So I can play here just by picking it up and moving it on the layers, or I can, Christmas tree's crooked. There, that's better. And then arrange these things in a certain way so this all makes sense, right? So if you can't see something and you created an Illustrator, there's a couple reasons that that could happen. One of the reasons that could happen is either you didn't put a color on it. If it doesn't have a color on it, the shape will be like hanging out there, but you can't see it. Or you didn't, or it's hiding behind something else. So this ellipse is there. If you guys look, there's my ellipse, but you can't see it because it's behind another shape. So either I need to move it forward, or I can bring it to front, or whichever way you need to do it. But know that if you can't see it and you created it, either there's no color on it, or it's hiding behind something. Yes, it's a peekaboo. Peekaboo! All right. I know this is a lot of information, and please know that the video is going to be there for you guys to watch it later. I just looked and made sure it's recording, and it is, so we're good. Okay. So that's the first one. Did we get everything? So 2 by 2 of a circle and a square, 5-pointed star, 7-pointed star, 10-pointed star, triangle using polygon, different color, fill color, no outline, arrange the shapes, and interesting design. So I didn't really finish arranging them, but I'll let you guys do that part. Okay, so now we're going to do 2 more rectangles, 2 or more ellipses, 2 or more stars, 2 or more polygons, different sizes, types of strokes. So I'm just going to create these quickly because we kind of have done some of this stuff. And then I'm going to do something fun. We're going to actually have fun with this star. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and you'll, wait, which one is it? Yes, this is it. So I'm holding down the controller command key, and I can play with the points on my star. And I can also add some more points to it. So let's add a bunch of points to it. So I need to have 2 or more stars. So there's 1 star. And then I'm going to do another star with just a couple points. So I'm going to drag that out. I'm going to go minus, get rid of all those. I can also double click on it and just decide how many points I want it to have. So we'll do a 4-pointed star. Maybe we'll place that in the center of that. And I'm going to make it be yellow. Okay. So I took care of my 2 stars. Now I need to do 2 rectangles. So I can do whatever shape I want. And you can have more than 2. So if I want to create a pattern, I can do that, right? I'm just creating on the fly, guys. So I'm not planning all this. Okay, so this is really cool. Here's how you duplicate something. Hold down the Alt or Option key, and you guys see where it has a black arrow on top of the white arrow? I click and drag that over, and it makes a new one. And it makes a new one. And it makes a new one. So I can duplicate this, and I'll try to spend more time on some of these things I'm showing you guys later, but at least you're getting the right idea. I'm going to show you how we can space these equally really quickly. I'm going to create another one over here. Okay, how we can, oops, didn't duplicate that. Okay, how we can align and space these really quickly. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to select them all. Do I have it open? Nope, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go down here to, it hangs out with Pathfinder, and it's also called Align. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say, I want you all to align to the top, and I want you to distribute equally. I think it's this one. Yes. And boop, just like that, I have them all aligned. Isn't that beautiful? This is a drawing program, right? So they're going to give you all kinds of tools to help you make sure that you can draw things quickly and easily. Okay, so I need 2, oops, I shrunk it. Not sure why it's quite that sensitive, but sometimes they change the programs in between. And okay, so now we need to have Rectangles, I need to have ellipses. So I got my stars, I got my rectangles, I need ellipses, and I need polygons. Stop that. Okay, here's my ellipses. If I want them to be perfect circles, I'm going to hold down the Shift key. If I don't care, then I'm going to hold down, let's make a sun. So I'll do that. I might go a little bit long today. Is that okay with you guys? And then if you have to go, please feel free to do that. Do you keep using the program? Do you get to keep using the program throughout school? Yes, for sure. You'll continue to use it in your other classes. So as you guys go through, how many of you guys are doing bachelor's degrees? I think, is that what we're offering now, Christina, is just bachelor's degrees? I think they got rid of the associate's degrees, which is actually good. Yeah, okay. So since you guys are doing bachelor's degrees, you'll actually take intermediate and advanced Illustrator, intermediate and advanced Photoshop, intermediate and advanced page design. So you'll actually have multiple layers of the same thing. So check this one out. This is really fun. Let's do a little gradient just because it's cool. Now they changed the gradient since I last did it. So let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, let's choose kind of an orangey color. Okay, I'm just going to pull it down and lay that on my little guy right here. And then let's choose a yellow or a, let's go with maybe a reddy, more red color. No, I want the red. Sorry, I was choosing it from the wrong place. Let's go with this red right here. Oh, it's changing on my thingy. All right, we'll do it from there then. Let's go with a little bit of an orange right here. Okay. So what we can do is we can right here, and I'll talk more about this later, just so you guys heard. You also heard that there's certificates. LinkedIn doesn't provide Adobe certifications. Only Adobe can certify someone in their programs. Okay. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do on this one is we're going to choose the radial gradient so that it looks kind of like a little bit of a sun. And then we'll play really quickly with the opacity, kind of set that back. So it kind of looks like a little bit of a sun. Now another thing we can do is we can group things together. So I'm going to go to Object and Group. And maybe we'll create a little bit of a sun looking thing right here. And you can do that too with a star. You can place that behind it. It makes it look like a little bit like radiance coming off the star kind of thing. So that's also fun. And then I just need to do a couple of ellipses. Sorry, not ellipses. I need to do polygons. So we'll do a triangle. And I just want a regular color instead of a, let's just do this as a green. Come on. Am I doing it on the stroke and not the fill? Here, I'll just do it from here. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to do another one. And I would have you guys place it in an interesting way. So I'm just going to do another one like that. Now, what you can do is you can play with strokes. So there's no strokes on anything that I have here now. So let's do a little stroke action. So right here is our stroke, okay? I'm going to go over here and choose Show Options. And this is a little flyout menu for the panel. Now, once I do this, I can choose to add a color to my stroke. And I can just do it from here if I want to. And let's just add a nice dark blue. I can increase the size. You'll notice there's some duplication up here. And I can do some things like I can do a little dashed line. I can make a gap in between, be 3 points. And I can just do a little dashed line like that. I can also play with this, and I can do some like thick to thin, like that. Maybe I'll do something on this one. Maybe on this one I want to add a brush stroke. So check this out. I can do like that. Let me bump it up so you can see it. Can you guys see it's kind of got that brush stroke on it? Let's do a different brush stroke. Let's do like this one. So it kind of adds like this really fun border on it. Let's do something on this one. Now right here is the library for all of your brushes. So you can do like these decorative banners and seals. Let's do an elegant curl and floral brush. Let's do like this one. It's kind of adding it down there to the corner down there. Let's actually add a different color to it so you can see it. So I can add some of these different effects with these brushes. So what I really am looking for on this particular assignment is for you guys to get creative with this, where you might have maybe use a brush stroke on one and use a dash line on another, and maybe you apply a different stroke on another one. So I'm really looking for you guys to kind of play with this and actually put some strokes on these. If I want to, I can do multiple ones at the same time. So maybe I want to put like brushes. I want to add maybe like this thingy. So that adds this like denim pattern to the outside of that, and I can do a bunch of them at the same time. So know that you guys can kind of create things that particular direction. How we doing? Okay? Perfect. All right, sounds good, Anthony. All right. Okay, so next step. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to close some of this stuff out so we don't have all this extra stuff. This gradient I pulled off, I'm going to slide it back up. I think it goes right there. Now, if I do something and I pull something off like that and I want to reset it, I can go back here to Essentials Classic and reset it, and it puts things back where it was before. So if you lost a tool, you can either come to Window and reopen it, or you can just reset your workspace again. All right, so let's take a look at the layers now, and let's actually take all this stuff, and maybe what we'll do is we'll put this on a different artboard. So I'm going to hide all this, and I'm just going to pull it up. Okay, so now I just put that all in there on its own artboard. So I'm going to lock that first artboard. Now if I turn this off, see the eyeball? Oops, I missed one thing on that. I'll have to go back and grab it later. If I turn the eyeball off, then that just turns that eyeball off. If I lock it, it means that I can't go back and re-grab that. So this is on a lock layer. I'm going to lock this layer. I won't be able to do anything on this layer. See how it's got the pencil with the little circle through it? That means it's on a layer that's not editable. So I'm going to create a new layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this layer to create a template layer. Okay, so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to File and Place. Maybe, there it is. Okay. Now I'm going to go choose these files. And which one would you guys like to do today? Let's do one of the kitties or the birdie, because the bear is a little bit more complicated. How about this guy right here? The one it's got his fangs. You want to do middle cat? Okay, middle cat. All right. Now I'm just going to click here, and then Kitty's gonna show up. I'm gonna go ahead, I can make her a little bit bigger. And no, if I make her too big, she's gonna pixel, okay? So she's a JPEG. If you zoom in on her, you'll notice, see how she's got the little edges that aren't clean? But if I go up here to these guys right here, you guys will notice I can get as close as I want to get and the edges stay clean. So that's our raster versus vector, right? I'm holding down the Alt key or Option key with zoom selected. Okay, but notice that she's pixeling there, so that's one of the challenges you're going to have with a vector. We're going to turn her into a template. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Enter key to lock her in. So now she's there. Now I'm going to double click on the layer, actually on the picture part. And right here, I'm going to call this template. And I'm going to make it be a template. Okay, so click right there. Naturally, what it does is it dims the background image to 50% of the full color, and I actually don't like it like that. So I'm going to leave mine at 80%. You'll notice it's a little bit lighter, but not quite as light. Now I'm going to create a new layer, and notice that the template layer is locked and it has a square there, so it looks a little different. I'm going to double click right here where the words are, and it says layer 4. I'm going to double click on the words. I'm going to name this one Final Artwork. Is it artboard or artwork? Final Artwork. Come on. Okay. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing on the proper layer. And you'll notice that, so I'm holding down the Shift key so I can get my little hand tool back here. I'm going to hit Z on the keypad. Thank you. I'm going to hit Z on the keypad. I'm going to zoom out just a hair so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now you'll notice that the template layers looked, if I'm on this layer and I try to draw with this or try to use any of my shapes. Okay, Joseph, take care. You'll notice I get the pen with the little thing in the corner. That means I'm on a layer that's not editable. So I have to make sure I go to a layer that's editable, okay? So I'm on the one that's called Final Artwork. So I'm going to choose, and let's look at the shapes here. So this is kind of like an ellipse. And then this is an ellipse, this is an ellipse, this is a polygon. So I can use my shapes to start creating what I need to create, okay? So let's go ahead and start off with this guy right here. I'm going to do my ellipse tool. I'm going to drag this guy out. I'm going to get rid of the fill and just have the stroke. I'm going to move it around so it kind of matches up with the corners there. Now I'm just going to pull the points so they kind of match where I want them to go. So I'm going to use the white arrow tool or the direct selection tool. Oops. Sorry, the little toolbar popped up on me. Oops. Grab right on the point and pull it straight down and just match it up with the corner. Match this up with the corner. Now it's much better to start yourself off with the shapes because it keeps things cleaner and easier to work with. Now watch what I'm going to do. This is the way that the pen tool kind of works. If I click right on the point, it gives me handles for each one. The further the handle is away from the point, the more of a curve. The more towards the anchor point, the straighter the line. So I'm going to push it in towards the line. And you'll notice it gets a little straighter. Same thing on both sides. And I can kind of make it match. So this side up here, I'm just going to pull down just a little bit to create that little curve. Push this one in just a little bit. See how I'm making it match? Push this in just a little bit. And this one in just a little bit. And then these just go down just a hair. And just like that, I've created the shape of the head, okay? Now, the easy way to add the color, and I'm gonna hold off, I'm just gonna do it for you guys just real quick so you can see what it looks like. But, and then I'll get rid of it, or I'll just make it be the fill color. or stroke color. I'm just going to use the eyedropper. Now that's I on the keypad. I'm just going to click on this, and it's going to fill it with the color that I clicked with the eyedropper. So if I flip my stroke and my fill, that's now my stroke color, and I can just flip it like that when I'm ready to change it back. Cool? All right, so if you guys remember, we talked about duplicating, so I'm going to do a little bit of this so I can show you guys some of these shapes really quickly. I'm going to see if I can kind of match that up size-wise. I'm just going to rock that just a little bit. Use the black arrow tool. V on the keypad. So I'm using some hotkeys here. Okay, I'm just going to grab that corner a little bit, rock that little guy in. A little rotation. Come on, rotation. Okay. Now also you can use those little arrow keys that we used before to make add the points and remove the points. I'm just going to go to my eyedropper. I'm just going to click on the inside, fill it with that color. So now that shape's been filled with that color. I've already created one. You'll notice that's a duplicate of it. I'm going to hit V on the keypad to get back to my black arrow tool. I'm going to hold down my Alt key for PC, Option key for Mac. I'm going to click on it, and you guys will notice the black arrow on top of the white arrow. I'm going to click and drag it over. Oops, doesn't look like it's doing it. So hold on just a sec. Did it do it? Yep, okay. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here under Object, Transform, and Reflect. If I click on Preview, I can see how it's reflecting. Unfortunately, that's coming out pretty much like I want that one to come out. So I just actually pick it up and move it over there. So now I have my two cheeks. You guys can see I can do the same thing with the eye, right? The nose is just going to be a polygon. So I'm just going to drag out polygon. I'm going to take this down to 3 points. Actually, I can just do that as an ellipse. Let's just do that as an ellipse. Okay, just draw an ellipse. Flip the stroke and the fill. Move it up. Black arrow tool. Kind of match it up with the edges there. White arrow tool, my selection tool. Just make it match with the corners. Now this is the one you're going to want to spend the most time on. It's going to take you the longest. So kind of plan that out to make sure that you give yourself enough time to do this particular one, because this is the one that's going to take the most time, would be my guess. Use my little arrow keys to boop that in. Now I can just flip my stroke and my fill because I've got that color on the stroke like that, and I've got my little nose. Then I can create an ear and the inside of the ear, so let me do that one really quickly. Let's do that one as a polygon this time. Flip the stroke and the fill. I'm going to drag this down, black arrow tool. Okay, now this is a straight line point. I want to make this be curved. So if I click right here on my pen tool, I can go to my anchor point tool. I can click and drag it out and it makes it be curved. If it's curved and I want to make it straight, I can go the opposite direction. I'm just going to do the same thing on all these. It's better if you drag out a little handle there just so you have a little control. If you guys come to the multi-session, I can help you with these. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black arrow tool and I'm going to choose this object. I'm going to go to Object, Transform, and Scale. Not sure why I'm struggling so much here, sorry. Object, Transform, Scale, okay. And then let's take it down to about 40%. I'm going to hit the Tab key so I can see. Oops, let's do it 45. Okay, that's pretty close. I'm going to choose the copy option. Now I'm going to make that match up a little bit more with the one right there. Okay, and then I'm going to flip my stroke and my fill. And then on this one, I'm just going to use my eyedropper to grab that color. Okay. So now I've got my ear, right? I'm going to put my cursor across it to select them both. And you'll see that both selected. I can also hold on my Shift key. I can go to Object and Group. What Group does is it makes these act like they're one unit. I can go over here. I can go to Object. I can go to Transform and Reflect. I'm going to tell it to copy. And now I got two ears. So they got one ear right there and one ear right there. So let me flip the color on this one and I'll show you what we've got so far. And I'll turn off my background image and you'll see what I have. So turn off the template and that's what we created so far. Let me actually just rock that a little bit. Like that. Cool? All right, so I'm not gonna, unfortunately don't have time to finish everything, but at least I went a little bit over, but I want to stop and make sure I have an opportunity to answer any kind of questions that you guys have. So you'll want to finish the whole little head. You'll want to make sure you fill in all the other pieces on the little head. So you give her little eyes and her little whiskers and draw this little shape right here and give her a little bow. But do you guys have the right ideas? Are you feeling like you have at least some of the tools to get that done? Okay. And then I'm going to be here tomorrow. I will be here, so it's 6:02 in my time. I'll be here at 5 o'clock tomorrow and Wednesday, so I'll be here both days to help you guys if you would like some support with this. And then if someone wants to come in, we'll record you doing yours. We'll post it in the announcements so other students can see how you created yours. Cool? Okay, so do you guys have any questions? Or what questions do you have for me? You're good? At 6 for you and you'll see you there. Okay, no questions. Okay, great, Elizabeth, that sounds great. It's all good. I got the right idea. All right. I will stop the recording.